All right, welcome everyone. My name is Mark Howden. I'm the director of our Solution Innovations team in Samsung in the mobile business B2B group within Samsung Electronics. And today I'm going to be talking about unleashing business with 5G solutions. Our team, some of which are here today, right up front, we work very closely with a lot of customers and partners building next-gen solutions and trying to figure out how we can elevate those companies with mobility and what the trends that are happening today. So a little bit of background on me. I started back in enterprise mobility back around early 2000s. And of course, back then, what was the killer app, right? Email, mobile email. And it was the first time that we saw how mobility could really make a change in how people worked. It was a change, it was a workplace transformation, right? It was the first time that we were untethered from desktop and laptop and could be efficient and effective and productive outside of the workplace. And with 5G, there's a new transition like that coming, maybe even more powerful than something like that, with all of the technologies that come with it. But a lot of these technologies are constrained. So workplace technologies are on the edge of transformation. We can talk about, you've heard probably over the last couple of days about numerous of these: IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, autonomous everything, robotics, blockchain, all these things, all these technologies that are just on the cusp of becoming next enterprise technologies that are going to take enterprise into that next level. But they're constrained because in many cases, these things need a lot of data. They need data volume, they need data speed, they need low latency for high reliability, all of these pieces. And that's where 5G is really going to, it's the missing puzzle piece to all of this. It's where it exposes the capability and the potential of these technologies. And that's great. Now the thing is, if we unleash all of these technologies and we have it all available today, we have a platform, a potential to build on. And that's really the point I want to make today, is that it's not just about, okay, let's get to the next level, let's get to these technologies. It's that the solutions that come from these technologies are what's really going to drive business into that next level. And it's us that are going to think of these new innovations, these new solutions based on these technologies that businesses need. So, but before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about what 5G is. So, many of you have been around for maybe 1G, I hope. 1G was voice, 2G, texting, 3G, getting into internet, 4G was being able to do streaming. All of it had to do with speed, increase in speed. 5G is absolutely different. If you were here for the last session about Wi-Fi 6, very interesting because there's a lot of overlap there with what's going on. But 5G brings, it's of course a lot faster, up to 50 times faster than 4G. So huge increase in speed. But it's much more important to look at it as something more than just more speed. It's 90% more efficient as a radio usage. So it means that for IoT devices that run on a battery, they'll get that extra battery life, maybe up to 10 times more capability of transmitting data before the battery runs out. You'll get 5 to 10 times lower latency, down to even down to 1 millisecond in a 5G network, which means reliability of data being received, lack of lag or minimization of lag in the environment, and greater device density. So this is the concept of, you've ever been to a sporting event, a concert, you have full bars, and yet good luck trying to go to the internet or do a text or something like that. The congestion over the network kills it. With 5G, you have 300 times the amount of devices connecting to a single cell than over 4G. So really huge. And finally, a key here, it ties in a little bit, again, if you were here for the Wi-Fi 6 session just before, to the intelligence of the network. 5G is based off standards of a software-defined network, which means it's not just a pipe that we have no control over. The carrier can have control over optimizing it for different reasons, for for first responders, or if you've gone over your data plan and it starts to throttle you, they can do those types of things. With 5G, they've put that power in your hands now, or 5G has anyway, so that in your environment, you can actually define and optimize the network as you see fit. So if I want to slice the network into one slice for mission critical data, one slice for large broadband, and then a lower optimized slice for guest connections and things like that. So that said, how does all of this affect you? Well, this is a major change in trends, right? This is a leap in technology like we haven't seen in years. And when there's major changes in technology trends, there's a huge value to you as a developer, as a solution vendor, even as a customer, to recognize this ahead of the trend so that you can take advantage of it. That's where the opportunity is. So let's look at some of the trends that have happened over the last 20 years. Data storage costs have gone down while the actual data storage has gone up. Content creation, of course, has gone way up. People uploading videos and all of those things. Computing power, gone up. Cost of computing has gone down. With that, the emergence of AI, and AI is getting smarter with all this. And of course, the cost of moving data has gone down while the speed of data has gone up. And now with 5G, it goes way up. So what happens when you are able to recognize an upcoming, to hit the trend for your solution or meet a customer or a market demand based off of the trend? And we talked about in the very beginning, mobile email. There was a demand. People really wanted to be able to get their email outside of the office, away from their computers, all of those types of things. And the solution came along. You saw things like BlackBerry, Palm, Windows Mobile, great. And then let's talk about the inflection point that happened when data storage costs went down, storage capabilities went way up, data speeds went up, and computing power went up, and suddenly you see the emergence of, Netflix or streaming audio like Pandora or Spotify or something like that. They recognized the demand, saw the inflection point coming where they could meet that demand, were first with a really good solution too, right? You have to come up with something decent. You can't just come up with a piece of junk, but be at the right time. So right solution and the right timing, and you can take advantage of that opportunity and succeed. From the business side, AWS and Salesforce, exact same thing. Hit that inflection point, took off. This new inflection point of 5G is happening, it's coming. It's happening today, it's rolling out over the next few years. Recognizing that today is vital, and it's where you can take your opportunity. So, excuse me. So the question comes up, well, why build for enterprise over consumer? The demand from the consumer side really isn't as large as you might think. Obviously, everybody's interested in having a 5G device on a 5G network. There's going to be a slower rollout for consumers until you get a ubiquitous connection across the nation, that kind of thing. But really, when you think about it, consumers are pretty happy with where things are. They've got 4G, they're able to stream videos. How many people are going to be streaming 10 videos simultaneously in high res? Like, no judgment on anyone here, but who's going to be doing that? Obviously, in the gaming space, it will be huge with AR and things like that. But where they're really beating down the door for 5G is in the business space with these business technologies that are just on the edge and waiting to come out, where 5G can unlock all of those. So we talk about AI, machine learning, autonomous vehicles, all those pieces. Really, AI and machine learning are a key. When we talk to our enterprise customers, these are the big ones. This is where they really see the biggest bang. AI, however, is super data hungry, right? It needs massive amounts of data just so it can baseline how things are supposed to be and set the trends. And then it's able to, lights up in the audience. Hey everyone, how's it going? Yeah, that's how I did. Just keep going. All right. What was I talking about? Yeah, so it needs all this data, right? And then, but great, so get the data, and over time, though, getting that data is not going to be as important as building in the solutions based off of that data and understanding what we can actually do with that and how we can take advantage of all that data. So that's where we come in with saying, okay, great, you've built your AI. Where's the business need that I can build a solution for, leveraging all of that AI and that data and machine learning so now I can take advantage of it. And that's where we really have a greenfield of new opportunities. Is it possible to shut the lights down? Okay. You just can't see the slides. Thank you. So in Smart City, just as a few examples here. So Smart City, obviously you have utilities, you have energy consumption, you have public safety, healthcare, all of these connected in together. And there's a ton of data coming in from these things. And to make the Smart City, that's a lot better. Thank you. To make that Smart City work, it's coming into an AI network with back-end edge network capabilities into an intelligent network. Just as an example of what this really means, when you think about Smart City, obviously there's cities today where there's hundreds of cameras around the city, and typically they're taking videos, and every now and then they're focusing on one or two cameras based off an event that's happening, or maybe they're going to use footage from the camera to see what happened. With AI, you can be funneling in gigabytes, terabytes of high-resolution data from all of those cameras and have intelligence looking at that so that we see we are able to set a baseline of how each camera looks and what it's seeing, and then recognize when there's adaptations or inconsistencies based off of the baseline. So now there's smoke in an area where there's usually no smoke, or there's a congregation of people where there usually isn't a congregation of people at that time of day in that place. And you can react to that and notify based off of that. Or you see even just traffic congestion in odd places and be able to handle traffic patterns and optimize that. And even to the point of seeing violent activities or a violent action like a car crash or even a fight, be able to respond to all of this. In case of traffic, it can be an auto-correction where it just handles it all itself. In the case of an accident or a fire, it can notify 911 and trigger the emergency alert system. So obviously a lot of solutions and capabilities in there. When we're talking with Smart Farm, this is sensors all over the farm. So I have sensors in the soil that measure moisture or measure amount of fertilizer so that I can target irrigation and target fertilization anywhere on the farm. That way I'm reducing my overall fertilization costs and irrigation costs by making sure I'm only using it where I need it. Plus, I'm not over-irrigating some of the crops or over-fertilizing others. So I'm getting the most efficient use of my land just through these sensors and being able to target how I react to these things. In addition to that, just think of autonomous vehicles. It can do the end-to-end of crop and produce production, right? This can be autonomous vehicles doing plowing, seeding, monitoring the crops, knowing when they're ready to harvest, harvesting those crops, taking them to production, and then out to distribution. Almost entirely autonomously, it's handling all of that. And then you can tag in livestock, not just to know where your livestock is, but again, building in the baseline of information about the livestock, its behaviors and things like that, so that you can recognize, AI can recognize certain cows or certain sheep or whatever your animals are, act in certain ways. And when they're acting abnormally, maybe they're sick, maybe they're pregnant, maybe whatever it is, and that way you can take care of them. Or maybe it's multiple ones are all acting differently. They're slowing down. Maybe it's some poison in the food or something like that. So again, massive amounts of lowering the operational costs a great deal and upping the efficiency of the overall farm. Finally, one more. The most obvious one is always smart factory. And this ties into Wi-Fi 6, by the way, especially when you come inside walls. So there's a lot of connection between the two. But just keeping on the 5G side of things, in smart factory, you have thousands. If you were in the keynote this morning, Tahira mentioned, according to Forrester, 127 IoT devices are connected to the network every second. So that's crazy amounts of IoT devices, sensors all over the factory measuring pressures, pressure gauges, measuring the supply, certain areas of the assembly line, all those different things, and plugging that information in, and being able to have artificial intelligence, machine learning, identify when potentially there's something going to happen if something isn't done, and auto-correcting that, Or maybe it's low on supplies and sending an autonomous vehicle to go and replenish the supplies at that area of the assembly line, or notifying an individual, a human, that they need to go and inspect an area. So this is a real change in how humans collaborate with machines and how machines collaborate with machines. So talk a lot about automation here and a lot about people's jobs. They're traditionally human jobs today. What's going to happen to those? raised the question for me when I was going through this. So the World Economic Forum put out a report last year. And based off of these technologies, AI, machine learning, 5G, by 2025, 75 million jobs will be displaced by this. You can see that. It makes sense, right? Robotics, autonomous everything, all this stuff. However, in the same report, it also says 133 million new roles are going to emerge. It's just that it's a shift in the division of labor between humans and machines. So those, sorry, I thought I heard something. So those jobs that were traditionally done by people now being done by machines, but who's building the machines, all of that? It's not really the machines, right? It's the solutions. Who's building the solutions in behind? Who's building the intelligence into the AI to meet the needs of business that then is transferred out into, onto the shop floor or into the farm or any of those things?
Quick question on that slide.
Sure.
The 133 million new roles, are those human roles? Or
Those are human roles. Yes, yeah. So the question was, is 133 more roles? Yeah, they're robots. No, I'm just kidding. It is. It's all human roles. And that's the whole transition, right? So those are the roles of people building the solutions, maintaining the solutions that are going to drive this whole workplace transformation that's going to be pushed by AI, machine learning, and all of these pieces. Oh, and just on that note, too, to that point, in the last 2 years, job postings with a skill set for AI and machine learning has risen by 600% in 2 years. Just imagine in the next 4 years what that's going to look like when this stuff really goes. So, at Samsung, so just to talk a little bit about what we're doing at Samsung about this. So at Samsung, you know, we make We make 5G devices. S10 5G was launched earlier this year. The Note 10 5G recently launched. And but at Samsung, we've been thinking about 5G for years, and we've been building technology for that for years. So it's not just our devices. We actually have indoor 5G access points that we developed. On top of that, we have industrial-grade 5G cell towers, cell antennas. And these are the things that we actually sell to carriers, the wireless carriers, like, here in the US and around the world. And in addition to that, we create the chips, 5G modem chips, the 5G smartphone chips, and of course 5G chips for IoT devices. So what Samsung can provide today is an end-to-end 5G networked environment from antenna to endpoint. And we are actually the only company in the world that can provide an end-to-end 5G solution in the US today. And we're doing it today. We're actually working with a number of companies where we're deploying this in their factories so that they have a chance to start building toward this technology. And we're working with some companies to build 5G innovation centers so that they can let their developers start working with 5G today to start thinking about how can I change, what can I use the new technologies for to change business, to improve my business so that when 5G rolls out over the next couple of years, we'll be ahead of the game. So as developers and as solution vendors, you should be thinking about this, like what solutions are people going to be demanding in 5 years or 2 years or next year when, based off their 5G deployment. As a customer, it's extremely important to think about what you're going to do with this technology, because whoever jumps on this technology first is going to have a step up on their competitors, either a solution vendor or a company. So just to wrap up, oh wow, 10 seconds. So 5G is really the final piece of the puzzle. It unlocks all of these new workplace technologies that are vital to moving things forward. The business needs 5G solutions, and that's where you come in. It's time to start thinking about these solutions if you haven't already. And on that note, Samsung can help. We can work with you. We partner with carriers with 5G labs. We run hackathons. This is some of the things we do. So in the middle, we've actually been running a number of hackathons. We just finished up a hackathon event series with Verizon, 5G focused hackathon event. For online resources, you can go to developer.samsung.com. For business developers, you can go to partner.samsungknox.com. And if you're building for wearable or display, that's developer.tizen.org. And then finally, sessions you may be interested in. They already happened, so tough luck. No, I'm just kidding. Anyone who registered, we're all being filmed right now. All these sessions are being filmed. So if you've registered for the event, you can log back in and see any of these. So as I was referencing the 6G, the Wi-Fi 6 session, that's available. So that's the Samsung Cisco unlocking the power of Wi-Fi 6. And the one above, making 5G wireless technology a reality and initiatives towards 6G. On top of that, my team and the rest of my team, we offer training for partners and for customers on developing for Samsung. So thank you very much. Please take the time to fill out the session rating. Also, in this room in 10 minutes is going to be another great session from Medtronic, if you were in the session this morning, about healthcare and Parkinson's. And we'll have a patient on stage show what they're doing. I'm going to be hosting that one too. So please feel free to stick around for that as well. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And